Hi guys, happy holidays. I know it's been a very big delay, but if you can tell by the new HD looking, I have finally got a new camera, and I wanted to christen it by talking about Black Hermione. I wanted to put a disclaimer here. These are just my opinions. I've read a lot of different opinions about this issue, and I feel like this means a lot of different things to different Black fans of Harry Potter. So this is just this Black fan's feelings on the issue and overall about race in Harry Potter. So one, what do I think about Black Hermione? It's fine. You know, duh. I think that people who are angry about it are being idiotic, not just because they're doing gymnastics to try to make this into a much bigger deal than it is, but this changes nothing, because none of the actors that have been cast look anything really like their characters. I mean, I only looked at the screenshot of the cast briefly, and I don't think the actor who's playing Ron is a redhead. Anyway, so I'm just kind of like, I don't see why, I just don't understand the problem. It changes nothing about Hermione Granger, her character, any of that. So to see people go up in arms talking about how you ruined his character, this is not how she's supposed to be, you're all full of shit, and you know that. You just don't see Black Hermione. That's your problem, and no one gives a shit about you, and you're wrong, basically. I was very glad to see J.K. Rowling's comment about canon Hermione, because she just said canon Hermione, you know, bushy hair, brown eyes, really intelligent. And that's great that she said that, and I'm very happy about that, and I love J.K. Rowling. However, it's also kind of because if Hermione could be anything, why has she been white all this time? Every canon adaptation that has been approved by J.K. Rowling, Hermione, Ron, and Harry have all been white. So why all of a sudden is it like, okay, we have Black Hermione? The possibility is out there, but it was never really an option. I don't want people to give so much credit to this whole thing, because Hermione being played by a Black actress in a play does not erase the fact that Harry Potter is a very white series that has failed at the racial issue multiple times. And honestly, as someone who grew up with Harry Potter, before the movies came out, I thought Hermione could be Black, because when I hear bushy hair and there's no sort of racial descriptors, I was very young at the time, so, and I read the books out of order, so I didn't read Azkaban until it was like the last of the original 4 that I read before I was older, and I got them as they were coming out. And in my mind, Hermione was Black until Emma Watson came around, and then it was like she was white. And this is not the first time this has happened. I mean, like, with 4 in Divergent, the author, Veronica Roth, has come out and said that 4 is supposed to be biracial. His mother is supposed to be Black. The actor who plays him is not biracial, does not look like he's mixed at all. He's just tan, but you can be white and tan. You know, the whole Katniss scenario of her having an olive complexion, there are some hints that it could be seen that she could have had other ancestry besides just being pure white. Then you get Jennifer Lawrence. And so we cannot give people diversity points for things that are not in canon. That's the whole issue with gay Dumbledore. If Dumbledore is supposed to be a gay representation character, then he should be acknowledged as being queer in the canon, not just outside of it. I think one of the biggest issues with the race in Harry Potter issue is that you have this series which is about racism. I mean, it's about a lot of different things, but the metaphor, the allusion to everything is all of, you know, World War II, Voldemort is Hitler, you know, discrimination, blah, 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 blah. I mean, people have written meta about this, about mudbloods and how it teaches about racism, but let us please remember one very clear thing. That is not the same as racism in the real world. Because people will make this confusion and be like, she talks about racism. No, 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 no. She talks about magical racism. Mudbloods and elves and dwarfs and goblins. And just because in your mind you've made it this thing like, well, the goblins are the Jewish people and the house elves are the Black people. That's not the same. This recently came up because someone had brought up, you know, where are all the Jewish people in Harry Potter? Where are all the pagans? Why is it only Christmas? And J.K. Rowling goes, of course there are Jewish people in Hogwarts. Of course they celebrate Hanukkah in Hogwarts. And we're all just kind of like, where? You cannot have a series that takes so much from the persecution of specific groups of people. We know exactly who the Nazis went after. We know it was Jewish people. We know it was Romani people, disabled people, and most non-Aryans. That's not the cast of Harry Potter, not the main cast. Yes, we have, you know, Dean, we have Lee Thomas, Angela, but look at all those people. Do people give a fuck about Cho Chang? No. Do people give a fuck about the Patel twins? No. Do people give a fuck about Dean Thomas, Lee Jordan, Angela? Did they? No. No, 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 no. It's people who are of that background, who have reclaimed the characters for their own use. They're the ones who are dedicated to them, not everybody else. You can say that this is all based on these deeper metaphors about race and complexity, but when you don't have any characters who are affected by that ism in the narrative, they're just kind of disingenuous to really be like, well, it has all these stories in it. And that's not to diss Harry Potter. I love Harry Potter. It is one of my favorite things. And this is mostly fandom stuff, because fandom will take racism and just put it right up in the forefront, because people will just say racist shit when race comes up. And this has been a huge issue in Harry Potter from the beginning. And I think the biggest one that kind of was the one that I remember from growing up was the Blaise Zambini controversy. Blaise Zambini is the last kid to be sorted in Philosopher's/Sorcerer's Stone, and no one knew what race or gender Blaise Zambini was, except that that person was in Slytherin. In fan fiction early on, Blaise was a woman. However, most of the time, Blaise was a white Italian dude who was Draco's BBF. And then in Half-Blood Prince, it was revealed that Blaise Zambini was black. And fandom lost their shit because the idea of there being a hot, attractive, black dude in Slytherin was just kind of like, what are you talking about? It cannot be. And it was funny to me because I am Slytherin. I'm Slytherin with Ravenclaw tendencies. That's always been my house. I stand by it. And I could talk much more about this issue, but I'm not. But I remember people would ask me, how can you be black and be in Slytherin? Aren't they the racist house? And I would just look at them and be like, what are you talking about? Because, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to erase the fact that the Death Eaters are haters and they are vile people. But the concept of Slytherin being the racist house, when we at least know for sure that there's a black person in that house, and there is always an assumption that if a character is racist against other groups of people, even if they're imaginary, that somehow that must lead back to anti-blackness. The concept that Voldemort could, I think the fact that if people came out and was like, well, Voldemort doesn't hate black people, that would blow their mind. That people would actually be like, Slytherin is the racist house. Where are the black people in Ravenclaw? Where are the black people in Hufflepuff? Every black person we meet, most of the people we meet are in the house that Harry's in, which is Gryffindor. So we don't know that for sure. It's an assumption. It is assumed that hate must always be hate against non-white people, even if they're not in this text. And then, of course, what I think is most troubling is Fantastic Beasts. Fantastic Beasts has already been criticized for having such a white cast, and J.K. Rowling said, wait till you see the movie. No, we shouldn't have to wait. We should not have to wait for representation in 2015. Almost 2016. Get with it. Summary. Am I happy about Black Hermione in the play? Totes. I mean, I love Hermione Granger, but I think what's fascinating is that I can never see her as black. Not because of Emma Watson or any of that shit, but I can never see her as black, really, because later on in the books, with the advent of Spew and some of the things that she says, she just comes off as such a white feminist. And very much that very nice liberal white lady. And while I'm not saying that people can't write her as black or saying that I disagree with, you know, other people of color who claim her in that way, absolutely not. That's you, do you. But for me personally, the way she's written is such a white lady that I can never really read her as black, because I would hope that if she was black and as smart as she was, she'd have a little bit more foresight, where she does read as like a 20-something-year-old white femme who's like just found the movement, wants to be intersectional, but doesn't really understand what intersectional means, but is trying really, really hard to be a good white lady. That's how I see Hermione Granger. I don't take this as a huge victory, because it's like, it's a adaptation that not all people will get to see. It can be, the actors can go switch on and off. It's not like it's all gonna be played by a black woman. I really doubt that would ever happen. So it's not as if this has been set in stone that Hermione is black. It is one piece of something that's really good. But what's more important is that if an adaptation of Harry Potter happens in another 10, 15, 20 years, which I could totally see happening. I could totally see it being like a Netflix original series a couple years from now, just the way that a series of unfortunate events is done. If when that happens, a Black, Latina, Asian, Southeast Asian Hermione comes up, that will be a victory. This right here is a stepping stone to something, but it's a very small yet important thing. And the funny part is that the racists and haters are making this a much larger issue than it really is. And so they're perpetuating this concept that they hate so much into something that's much more dramatic than it actually is. This is a play, okay? If you make the Phantom of the Opera played by a Black or Latino person, as he has been done before, he's still French. He's still white. It doesn't change that. So, racists, get over it. You guys suck. And this is the beginning of me upgrading the melinapendulum channel. I am really excited about this, and I hope you like, subscribe, leave your suggestions and comments down below. Do you like Black Hermione? If you don't, we're gonna have problems, but that's okay. Just word your comments below. And if you could turn any character from canon to being another race, which character would you make it? You know, I'm Team Latino Superman, personally. I wouldn't want to be Clark Kent, though. I like how they did it in Gods and Monsters. Anyway, off topic. But yeah, leave it down below. We can talk about it then. I hope you guys are having a great holiday. Take care, and Happy New Year!